Yes, I've been on hold for ages. How long did, like, this sleep cheap reap thing? I'm trying to, Great Wolf, but no, I can't. I know I don't have kids. I love water slides. What can I tell you? All right, I got to hang up. All right, okay. Hey, welcome to season 5, episode 22 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry, fueled by Gales Gas Bars, powered by WeeStreem. We are also supported by Sandra's Home Healthcare, Virgin Insurance, ACE Alignment, and Equal Wellness Services. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your specialities at the lovely Fiddler's Poorhouse, 149 St. Paul Street in St. Catharines. Upon entry, we will make you comfy here. Come on down, enjoy a beverage. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for walking by. That's okay. Feel free. That's okay. It's a live show. You never know what's going to happen here on Ye Old Programming. So, we're going to do something that we've been trying to do for a while, and we finally managed to make it happen. We have this season's new head coach of the Niagara IceDogs coming on to talk about the dogs, obviously, and the OHL and where things are going, etc. So we're kind of excited to have Ben Boudreau joining us on the program in the next little while. You may have seen a bit of a disturbing post on Niagara 411 about this dog that seems to be terrorizing. Is that not too strong a word? A particular park in St. Catharines. We're going to have Evelyn, the lady that shot the video that you might have seen on Niagara 411, coming up on the program, and a bunch of other things that have caught your attention and ours over the last couple of weeks. So stay with us. Come on in. We'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, here we are, live and in living color. Speaking of which, I hadn't mentioned this to Kevin before we went on the air. I went to a show this past week at the OLG Theater in Niagara Falls to see one of the Wayans brothers. I always get their names confused. Marlon Wayans, I think, is who we went to see. He was interesting. He was from In Living Color, right?
Yeah, the Wayans brothers.
Yeah, the Wayans brothers.
Yeah, they're funny guys. How was the show?
It was okay. It was okay. One of the things that I have to say... Oh, sorry, I get rid of these things. One of the things that has always disturbed me a little bit about some high-profile stand-up comics, and I kind of judge their ability to be funny by this, and I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but I find the language that stand-up comics use informs me about their intelligence or their ability to make people laugh, and I found the language a little over the top, as far as the bad language. I mean, like the cursing.
Yeah. I'd be there with you, Lee. I mean,
a little over the top. I think you don't. I don't think you have to do that to be funny.
I find it a greater skill to make somebody laugh without using blue material or language.
Yeah. And if you were not into that kind of thing, it was you would have walked out. I have to be perfectly honest. You would have walked out of it. But then he would say in his warm-up comic, who is just as bad, if not worse, would have said, well, you just don't know how to have fun. Okay, but one of the greatest comics of all time, as we might all agree on, was Eddie Murphy. I thought Eddie Murphy was the funniest when he never used a swear word. I thought Eddie Murphy was the funniest on Saturday Night Live. And then when he came out and did his stand-up thing, and probably his most famous album was a live album called Raw. That was probably his biggest when it came out. I think it was in the 80s, 90s, whatever. And then the Eddie Murphy persona changed. It was raw, and I didn't like it so much. I didn't think it was so funny. Anyway, yeah, there were elements of the show that were great. I'm glad I went to the show, but that kind of tarnished it for me. Speaking of tarnishing, Kevin, a nice smooth segue into tarnishing the backdrop that is the Niagara Falls. This couple of wackos, thinking that they're in front of some sort of video screen, at least that's what they're trying to make it look like. This got a lot of views on Niagara 411. Oh, hi to Nick and Nick's mom, by the way. This falls into the category of, what are you thinking? It's all about me. It's all about a selfie. And there are signs that say, please do not come over this fence, or please do not climb the, what, I don't know, I can't remember the exact wording of the signs, but there are signs to prevent idiots like these two from getting that close to the brink of the Niagara Falls and the rapids below. The mind fairly reels at, what are you thinking? Like, you can get some pretty good pictures of Niagara Falls without having to go over there.
Yeah, this is idiocy.
Now, the thing that gets me is the fact that we haven't seen any follow-up. You would have thought the Niagara Parks Police might have had something to say about.
Well, they've been made aware, but
I know they were made aware, but we haven't seen any follow-up.
Well, other than they're aware of the video and they're investigating, but nobody really knows when this video was shot. It kind of looks summerish, but at the same time, you know, September, even first week of October, had very summer-like conditions.
Oh yeah, I don't think the video is that old. And the old catchphrase is, authorities are investigating. Okay, then media people like us would like to say, okay, well, when you get that investigation over, could you maybe let us know about what you did with these two gonads that were standing beside the fall? That's Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen. Executive producer of Ye Old Program, co-founder of WeeStream, the technological genius behind this program.
And Lee, I'm going to segue into something technological here.
Yeah.
Going back to the main Niagara 411 page.
Yes.
And if you pull it down at the top, you'll refresh the page, and you'll see there we're now live.
I've got it right here.
That's us. That's the show.
It's got it right here.
So scroll on down to us right there, and please.
I'm going to refresh what I'm doing right now, just what we're asking you folks to do.
And then right there, I'm going to click on that share button.
And then we share.
And I'm just going to share now.
And then we share now.
And I want people to get in the habit of doing this because coming up in the not-so-distant future, we're going to start doing some tickets and giveaways here on the program that involves people sharing the program. So get used to sharing the program on a week-to-week basis because that is going to be your ticket into the hopper, and see if we can give away some cool stuff.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun with that this year. We're going to expand it a little bit, make it a little bit more interactive. Speaking of interactive, again, we have a lot of smooth segues here today. This entire show is interactive. While you are watching this stream, there is a link at the bottom of your screen. If you would like to be a part of the program, if you have something to say, if you want to make a comment on something we're talking about or something that we're not talking about, want to bring up a new topic, want to promote something that you're involved with, we don't care what it is. It's a show by Niagarans for Niagara, in Niagara, every couple of weeks, and you can just kind of click on that Zoom link. It'll put you into our green room with Kevin, and make sure that we got your video and your audio all set to go, and then we'll have a conversation about your topic of choice. Really, anytime, just do it, and we'll squeeze you in whenever we can. All right. One of the other things that we kind of scrolled over quickly when Kevin was going over the top of the feed there is just for dims of you that might have some tomatoes or pumpkins or some flowers still outside, we have a frost advisory. The first frost advisory of our fall season here in Niagara. Frost expected early Thursday morning which would be tomorrow, overnight tonight, as temperatures fall to near 0 Celsius. Cover up plants, especially those in frost-prone areas. Take preventative measures to protect frost-sensitive plants and trees. Please continue to monitor alerts and forecasts issued by Environment Canada. You know, Kevin, and this is for St. Catharines, Grimsby, North Niagara region mainly. The south might be a little bit warmer, because it usually is. Like off the North Shore of Lake Erie, the South Niagara is a little bit warmer than the North End. The thing that gets me is Environment Canada, I'm sure, has this employment security program in place, because if you go on the Environment Canada sites, when you're checking the weather on your phone or your computer at home or whatever it is, they'll give you more information than you ever want. Now, and you shouldn't let little small animals go anywhere near a puddle, because those puddles can be perhaps attracting them to go to larger paces of water that might, like, oh, come on. Just give me the information. Let me make up my own mind about what to do with my little poodle, in a puddle. Like, gee whiz. Yes, we know when it gets cold, it can snow. We know when things freeze over, they don't freeze over all that much. We don't want to walk across Lake Ontario in November. We realize that these things occur. Thank you, Environment Canada, though, for looking after us. And I'm sure somebody somewhere has job security, because they come up with these stupid things to put on advisories and warnings. My gosh. Anyway, that's just a little aside, a little commentary. The Northern Lights have been, now we're calling them the Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis, if you want to be a little bit more scientific. There have been a lot of great pictures over the last week or so around Niagara. There were some beauties that were taken from out on the pier in Port Dalhousie, bunch in Grimsby. Where this particular group is from, I can't remember. It's in.
I think this was Smithville.
Smithville, yeah. They're usually in the descriptions. But thank you to everybody that took your time and went out at all hours of the night and early morning to take pictures of these beautiful, beautiful skies. And partially, we can attribute this to the regular sort of phenomenon called Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights, but it really was exacerbated by something completely different. And I was saying to Kevin earlier, Sean Sutherland, meteorologist with the Weather Network, if you're watching this or hearing this, your ears might be burning, because I'm going to talk about you. We should have had you on this week, and it just totally escaped me that it would have been an interesting conversation, because it was this massive solar storm, one of the biggest measured in history on our star, affectionately known as the sun, that took place. And it reached us, I think it was 3 or 4 days now, Kevin, because this solar flare and this big solar storm was emitted by the sun, and it arrived here on planet Earth a few days ago, and that is one of the big contributors to these fabulous lights, is the electric currents that arrived from the sun into our atmosphere, and then when these things interact, it goes. And so, yeah, it's kind of sort of part of the Northern Lights phenomenon, but these are sites that are being partially created, or maybe even initially created, by our favorite star, known as the sun. So it's sort of a perfect storm, pardon the pun, if you will, of elements coming together that created these fabulous, fabulous pictures.
Did you see any? You see any, Lee? I mean, you're North End St. Catharines. What was this? Thursday, Friday night is where we're going back to.
I have to. Well, Thursday night we were at the Weigh-Ins concert.
Oh, that's right.
Listening to Marlon swear. So I didn't see it on Thursday night. And then Friday night, I have to confess, my wife and I were just downstairs watching television, doing something really boring.
You know what? People saw it a lot with the naked eye, but apparently the lens of the camera completely
really picks it up.
Yeah, really delivers these vivid photos. And I know this one of Port Dalhousie. Gosh, I don't know who to credit on this one. It says from John Marshall Goodyear. I don't know that it's his photo.
Oh,
Might be a Chris Delat photo as well.
I have a neighbor who is whose name
Chris Delat.
look at that. But why is that Port Dalhousie lighthouse? Is that the port lighthouse, really?
Yeah, that is.
Why is it pink? It's not pink.
Probably playing with the lenses a little bit.
Yeah,
to try and draw
little
out some of those.
photoshopping going on.
I don't know that it's after the fact. This might just be filters and long exposures and things like that.
We have as I was saying though, we have a neighbor. I'm not going to mention him because I don't want to out him, but not that he would mind. But he is like fascinated with that lighthouse. He's out there so often. But he went out at 1:30 in the morning on Friday morning or Thursday, whatever it was, and got some pretty cool pictures as well. But there's been lots of them. So thank you everybody for sharing and taking your time to go out at 10:30, 11 o'clock, or even 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning to take some of these fabulous shots. Coming up in the program today, in a few minutes we're going to be welcoming David Rotella. He's the organizer of Dreaming Out Loud, a songwriter's tribute to Rick Rose. I'm not sure whether you realized it. If you're not really into the local music scene and the entertainment community in Niagara, you may not be aware of Rick, but a lot of us have known Rick for a long, long time, and he has been a local entertainer and songwriter and business person and media guy for a long, long time. And we lost him a while back, and our condolences. It's the first time we've had a chance to mention this, actually. Our condolences to Rick's family and all of the people that he held dear and held him dear. But there's got to be a tribute to Rick, as you can see on the screen there, coming up on November the 7th from 7:30 to 10 p.m. And as you see, organized by E.J. Rotella, David Rotella, and David's going to be with us in a few minutes to talk about that and fill us in a little bit more about Rick and this event. Ben Boudreau is the head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, who are off to a hell of a start this season. They got a record of 5-1. They're first in the Eastern Conference. They're 9th in the OHL power rankings, and 8th in their league equivalents across Canada. So the IceDogs, after having a couple of, to be kind, less than stellar seasons, are starting off 2024-25 in fine fashion. And Kevin can speak to this a little bit. We've been after some representatives of the IceDogs for a while to come on and talk to us, and it just sort of has never come together. So we're kind of excited about this opportunity to speak with Ben today about the Dogs.
Yeah, good local boy riding the ship. Would love to see him behind the bench for maybe a decade or more. Obviously, he's got the bloodlines. He's steering the ship in the right direction. Yeah, Dad Bruce. So, man, oh man, really happy to see the IceDogs off to a 5-1 start. I'm sure a lot of people in Niagara are very excited as well to see what's been a number of down years strung together and finally kind of turning around. Yeah,
there's been a lot of... it's no secret. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There have been a lot of stories, a lot of background, and a lot of backstories on what's been going on with the IceDogs franchise over the last few years. We're aware of that. And we've been attempting to, as I said, try to move forward and get some folks on and get the buzz going again with the Niagara IceDogs. And I think that it feels like we have the genesis of doing just that this year. So we'll talk with Coach Boudreau about that at about 12:40 this afternoon. All of these times, by the way, are certainly fluid. It's a live show. We're never quite sure exactly when things are going to happen, but that's a general time frame that Ben's going to be joining us on the program. And you may have seen the video on Niagara 411 as well of a dog that, for the lack of a better word, there's a video there, terrorizing, vandalizing park property, Barley Street Park, near the dump course, as they call it, dump golf course off Oakdale. The lady that shot this video, Evelyn, is going to be joining us a little after 1 o'clock or at 1 o'clock today. As you can appreciate, we would all, including you, have a number of questions about what the heck is going on and why does this happen? And it has happened more than once. I mean, one time, it's a one-off, you get that. But apparently it's not just a one-off. So, and before we move on and get into the meat of the show, I want to talk about our sponsors and once again acknowledge Gales Gas Bars Limited for being here, our premier sponsor. And by the way, I have to mention this. This is a total personal thing, but I know that Jessica Friesen, the CEO of Gales Gas Bars, and her husband Ed would love this. I happen to be playing Sawmill Golf Course last Monday, and our group teed off right after a large contingent of youth golfers from Niagara high schools. It was the SOSA Golf Championships at Sawmill, which stands for Southern Ontario Secondary School Association Championships. Eddie Friesen, Jessica's son, was the champion.
Hey, way to go, Eddie.
Yeah. So, and I think Timmins is the next go-round. So, congratulations to the Friesens. I think he shot, I could be lying, but I think it was like 74, 75. Yeah.
This sounded like the start of a Rodney Dangerfield movie. Like, you teed off right behind him. Next thing you know, they think you're in the competition. You go back to high school.
I couldn't have been any close to being in that competition. Anyway, congratulations to Eddie Friesen, and thank you to Gales Gas Bars for following us and being a part of our program for so long. Also, Sandra's Home Health Care, where the heart is, offering same-day service for the ones you love from the comfort of their own home. They provide no-hassle hospital-to-home care, 24/7 care if necessary, medication control, and all of those things that are so important to home health care for you and your loved ones. And coming up in the very near future, we're going to have Sandra on along with someone from Ontario Health Services, because there have been some regulatory changes in the home health care field, including accreditation levels and those kinds of things, of which Sandra is right at the top. But it's not for us to explain, because I know we'd probably get it wrong at some point. But we're trying to set this up so that we can bring you some really pivotal information about the home health care system in Ontario. So thank you, Sanders, for being a part of us. Verge Insurance Group, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, and all the people that look after your home and health and life and business insurance, auto included. Another local born and bred company operating just over here on Ontario Street. Thank you, Verge, for always being a part of us. Ace Alignment, the mouth that roared, a small place, but man, do they do a lot and look after your vehicles expertly. Wheel alignments and brakes and suspensions and front end repairs and oil changes and all makes and models of vehicles on North Street, St. Catharines, just off Geneva, behind the Niagara Regional Police Station on Welland Avenue. And of course, Audrey Wall, the foot nurse, has parlayed her very, very successful foot care business into Equal Wellness Services, a holistic service company that operates on Vine Street, in a small plaza, 365 Vine Street, between Scott and Carlton Street. Definitely for all your foot care needs, she's the place to go, and for other things as well. Equal Wellness Services. Thanks for supporting the program. Now, we have with us, joining, as I mentioned, the program, David Rotella. He is organizer of Dreaming Out Loud, a songwriter's tribute to a man well known to a lot of us in the media, music, and entertainment industry in Niagara. David, welcome to the program. How you doing, bud?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Wouldn't have it any other way. We lost Rick a few weeks ago, and for people that might not be aware, as we are, of Rick's pedigree in Niagara, fill us in a little bit on who Rick was. Who was Rick Rose?
Well, I'll give you my perspective, because I've known Rick since I was a kid. And yes, he did. He passed actually a few months ago. It was back in the summer. And to Rick, when I think of the Niagara music scene, the Niagara music community, I think of Rick Rose. Rick has been not just supportive of the music industry, but Rick at one point he was our Bruce Springsteen. So when I say that, I go back all the way. Well, I can go back really far. I remember delivering papers on Stanford Green Drive to, I think it was Johnny DeJulie's house when Lennox was practicing. So he started in a band called Lennox with Johnny D from Honeymoon Suite. So he goes all the way back there. I remember those days. And then years later, he had the Rick Rose Band, and me and a few of my buddies who were music nuts, we would sneak in underage to the Fallsway down at. Am I allowed to say that?
Absolutely.
To the Fallsway.
I remember it well.
Down,
the Thunderbird Room. Wasn't it called the Thunderbird Room?
The Thunderbird Room. Oh yes, I almost forgot the name of the room.
Yeah,
yes,
see?
That's right. It was. And we'd sneak in and we'd get the odd beer if we could, and we'd watch our Bruce Springsteen, Rick Rose, right there at the Fallsway. And he had the sax player. He sounded like Cougar. He sounded like Bruce. He had that Jersey Shore feeling that we all, or music that we all loved. So Rick had that, and then he went off. Now I'm going to probably mess up the order of this, but he went off to Nashville. He went off to Nashville and worked for Sony, and he wrote some great songs. One was in a movie, and a lot of different songs that he wrote were recorded by many individuals out there. He did put out his own records. Mark Ronson, if everybody knows Mark Ronson, he was he was big in the music scene. Produced David Bowie. Actually produced one of our friends, Joe Grusecki, in the House Rockers. So he was friends with a lot of those guys, and in that scene with some pretty heavy hitters from out in obviously the Nashville area as well. So Rick was not just some singer-songwriter playing on a patio here in Niagara Falls. Rick was in the music business, and then he came back here and he started his Niagara Institute of Music down on Queen Street. And I know it's been in a few different locations, teaching individuals how to play music, different instruments. That is, and he had several other projects because one other way I got to know him was I have a business called Dynamo Creative Group. We do web design and stuff, and we did some of his earlier websites and hosted some of his websites. So we had a recording studio, and he called it Tangerine Studios. So he did that as well. So there were so many different facets of the music scene that he was involved in.
Yeah.
But in all of that, Rick was an inspiration and a mentor to so many musicians. And in fact, he was to me as well. So later on, it was about 2007, and I started to do these benefit concerts for Parkinson's called Light of Day. And when we first started, I was green. I didn't know what I was doing. A friend of mine, Mike Minervini, asked me if I wanted to help him with this. It was a Springsteen type initiative down in Asbury Park, and we were bringing it to Canada. So we didn't know what to do. So the first person I thought of was, let's call Rick Rose, and actually Mark Matthews as well. So it was Rick Rose and Mark Matthews sat down, had a meeting, and they told us what to do to run this show that we've never put on a concert before. And I didn't know sound, I didn't know any of this stuff. So Rick, not only did he help us put the show on that became very successful for the next 15 years, raising over $500,000 for Parkinson's, but he also brought us Ron Sexsmith. So that was our first top ticket. Here I am. We brought all these guys in from Jersey and New York from the Asbury Park scene.
Yeah.
But he brought in Ron Smith, which was huge to this day. And I was just talking to Ron a few months ago at the Andy Kim show, and he remembers it vividly. And it was a great get. And he also brought us Dean McTaggart, who wrote all those great songs for Amanda Marshall. So Rick was in. So he helped us so much, and he was always there for us. In fact, when we were putting on what ended up being our final farewell, Rick wanted me to do a podcast on his 4680Q. So I started running months before the show. I started running this podcast called Just Around the Corner. He was my first guest. You should check it out on Spotify. You want to learn about Rick Rose. It was such a great interview, and I learned a lot about him, even though I've known him for 30 years.
It's funny, you can.
I don't know if I overspoke there.
No, it's fine. You can. No, not at all. the more detail, the better, because it helps us get to know a dedicated Niagaran. And I think that's where I wanted to go with this, is the fact that of all of the things that Rick did, and I learned some things I didn't know. I knew some, but I did. We never know all the dimensions of anyone, really. And as you said, you grew up with a guy, and even you didn't know some of the stuff that went on. So you never really 100% know somebody, and that's why shows like this are pretty cool, because we get a chance to highlight Niagarans that everybody might know a little piece about. But as we know, puzzles are a result of a lot of different kinds of pieces. So it's we appreciate the details. And one of the things about Rick that I did like is the fact that, well, I liked a lot of things, but one of them is that he was always true to Niagara. And it didn't seem like any gig was too big or too small or insignificant. He just liked to be playing the tunes and hanging out with the folks and having some musical fun with his family in the later years. And you mentioned 4680Q. He launched an online radio style streaming company. So I mean, he was kind of entrepreneurial right up until he passed away.
Oh yeah, right from the get-go. Rick was always. I've worked with Rick a lot in his business capacity as well. But you said something, and that is the crux and the reason why we're doing this show is Rick gave back to the community in so many different ways. Not just the music community, but he did give back to. So when I heard he was ill, even before he passed, that was the first thing I thought of was, we need to do something for Rick. And you'll notice on the poster that these are all local artists that he influenced. Okay, these are local singer-songwriters that Rick had some part in. My son being one of them. In the later years, the last few years, Rick and my son Evan, they did duo shows together.
Okay.
So I got to see this other part of Rick, and he would help Evan and give him advice, which I know he's done for every single person that's playing our show. And the other reason I know that he was so influential is when I announced the show, how many artists texted me to say, I want to be in the show. And I was like, already full. And I'm like, oh, I've got too many. I'm like, we're going to do more. Great. I promise we'll do more. This is just the first show. And as well, business people stepped up. The sponsors, I didn't have to contact one sponsor. We have Nick Inc. and Chip and Charlie's, who are our event sponsors. They contacted me right away. Then Angela Siracusa Music, who was also performing that day, her Lupo's Little Italy food truck, and Robert Greetrick's accountants, they all stepped up and they're artist sponsor. My company is the media sponsor, and Big Texas, where we've had songwriter shows that Rick was involved in, they stepped up to be the venue sponsor. So he touched so many people that they all want to be involved.
So we got Thursday, November the 7th is the date, 7:30 to 10, and the location is?
Big Texas, Niagara. You can get your tickets at danima.com/tickets. You can DM me on Facebook, email me at dave@danima.com. I have some hard copy tickets as well, but you can buy them online.
Proceeds go to?
All the proceeds go to the newly founded Rick Rose Music Foundation, started by his lovely wife Rosa and his children Melanie and Jake, who you might know from his band Avenue Inn. Yeah. All
right. David Rotella, thank you very much for organizing this event, because it's well deserved and well earned by Rick, and certainly in due time it's a perfect time to do this when the dust has settled a little bit, and we can appreciate the man and the entertainer and the Niagaran that was Rick Rose. So thank you for doing that, and also thank you for being here on the show and taking your time out today, Dave.
I appreciate you having me. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys there. Let me know if you want to come out.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Love to have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. David Rotella, highlighting a really, really, really productive and contributory Niagaran. And Kevin, it's oh so true. And I guess, unfortunately, it happens that we find out so much about people when they're no longer with us. It would be it would be a great vehicle if we, and a great initiative, if we could somehow, maybe you and I can talk about this off the air, maybe highlight a Niagaran a week or something before they pass away. Because, I mean, Rick would have been a hell of an interview that we didn't do before we lost him. And I'm sure there are thousands of Niagarans that fall into that category as well, that we would much rather talk to them while they're still here, contributing to our culture and to our area before they pass away.
You're absolutely right, Lee. And unfortunately, right now I'm going to talk about somebody again who has passed, and can't get through the show without mentioning our condolences to his wife, his children, and all who knew Lance Cunningham. I never knew Lance, but it seems that everybody in Niagara is about 2 degrees of separation away from the man who unfortunately was the victim of what appears to be that random stabbing in the John Allen Park in Niagara Falls a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
unbelievably
just out
sad.
walking his dog. He's got 2 daughters, I believe, a wife. He's just a family man.
Yeah.
Everybody in Niagara, as I mentioned, connected to this guy. There is a GoFundMe to help his family, and that's what I want to share here.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure where we are with the goal or the amount raised. Donation is protected, but I mean, just seems like an all-around good guy. Seems like an all-around good guy that's had his life cut short inexplicably, and I don't think we'll ever have answers to that.
And we hear this word all the time, but in this case, it certainly seems to apply, and that is senseless. The indiscriminate and senseless criminal activity that we are bumping into, or is bumping into us, here in Niagara seems to be, and I've seen people ask this question, is it on the rise? Or again, are we just getting better, for the lack of a better word, at reporting on these bizarre and sad incidents? I believe, I tend to think it's a little bit of both, but I do believe that there is some element of social behavior that is on the rise. Whether it's because of an infiltration of people from outside our community, or whether we just have an increased incidence of whether it's mental illness or social misbehavior, whatever categorizing you want to do with these folks. Either way, there are innocent victims of these things. Someone walking his dogs. The story that we also heard out of Toronto, a woman standing at a bank machine, somebody walks up and stabs, and there seems to be so many of these kinds of things happening. I don't know how we fix that, Kevin. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know. I'm sure law enforcement is also struggling with how are we policing this? Because it seems, again, as people that have been in contact with police forces around the country, not just here, but it's a reactionary force. It's hard to prevent something when you don't know what's going to happen, and unfortunately, you have to just react to an event. And boy, if we could do something to somehow get there before these things happen. I don't know, preemptive strikes or something. I don't know. It's very frustrating, and it's as they say, a conundrum wrapped up in an enigma. It's hard to deal with.
Lee, also want to throw a shout out there as well to Robbie Greetrix. David Rotella dropped his name there as well. One of the guys that stepped up, chartered accountant in Niagara Falls, also a good friend of mine. Just all around good guy, giving back to the community. So big shout out to Robbie. And if you guys know him from either his ice hockey, ball hockey, slow pitch, or accounting worlds, the guy is just all over the place. And thank you very much for stepping up and once again helping the community.
And I think before, I know I'm cutting you off here, but before
it's all good.
I want to thank Dave McParian as well. It's a name that we don't mention too often. We mention Fiddler's Poorhouse, but and that's Dave Mukparian's place. This is his baby that's around us right now, and I want to thank him for allowing us to come in and get in the way of his staff every couple of weeks, and the number of things that he and the Fiddlers and his companies do to support Niagara, including the IceDogs, sponsors of the IceDogs. We're going to be talking to Ben Boudreau in just a minute. So I just wanted to take a quick aside here and thank Mook for all of the things that he and his staff do in the community. Ben Boudreau is the head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, who are off to probably their best start in recent memory at 5-1, first in the Eastern Conference, 9th on the power rankings in the OHL, 8th across the country in their league levels, and it looks like things are looking up for the Dogs. Ben Boudreau, first of all, welcome to Niagara. Well, I know you're a Niagaran at heart and by birth, but welcome back. And welcome to the IceDogs, and congrats on the beginning of a pretty cool-looking season. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. And not to correct you, we are off to one of the best starts in recent history, but not just recent history. That 4-0 start that we had set a franchise record for starting the season with 4 wins in a row. So we are doing something pretty good here, but it's a good feeling. It's time for a change, and I'm glad so far we started off this way.
So you come from quite a hockey pedigree. Your dad, Bruce, was a long time hockey guy, played with a lot of teams, and was coached with a lot of teams around the NHL. How do you feel about that, kind of following in your dad's skate prints?
Well, it's when you pull aside the fact that we're related by blood and he is my father, I mean, you have to admire the career, that he's had. And when you look at statistics from all-time professional hockey, he ranks among the 20 best hockey players of all time as far as professional points put up. And I think he's the only one that's been able to play over 1,000 games, coach 1,000 games in the American League, and coach 1,000 games in the NHL. Just an incredible lifespan of hockey. And the one thing I feel really fortunate is growing up in a hockey family, having the opportunity to sort of step in and type of go for a walk in his footsteps. So him and I made it into the Hockey Hall of Fame as the only father-son duo to ever win a championship trophy, the same championship trophy in the ECHL. He won it in 99 and I won it in 21. And he set some roots when he played for the St. Catharines Saints. Everybody knew the farm club down in St. Catharines, which is how we ended up here. And yet I'm back coaching the Niagara IceDogs. There's been a lot of similarities as far as our coaching careers are concerned. He was in Fort Wayne, Indiana as coach of the year. I won my championship in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I feel very blessed, to have somebody so close to me as my father, with that type of career. And then too, as far as fortunate goes, we talk every single day, 2, 3, 4 times a day, just on, life, hockey, whatever it be. The kids were growing up in St. Catharines, living here. And it's a real fortunate blessing that I'm back in town, surrounded by a lot of great people.
And it's wonderful that you have that kind of mentor, not only as a dad, but as a hockey guy. It's a win-win-win-win all across the board. So congratulations on that. You two must be very, very proud of each other. Now, Ben, talk to us about the turnaround of this team, because I don't think it's too weak a term to say turnaround, because it's no secret that the last handful of seasons haven't been the best for the Niagara IceDogs, and now you're off to a flying start on the national radar screen for hockey of your league status. What is it? All you? What did you do? What's the secret?
Well, our motto is team success will bring individual success, and the fact that we are, having success as a team, I appreciate you asking me. If it's me, somebody's get rewarded.
Well, it's got to be partially you at least.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think that I do have a hand. I mean, this is my first full season at the helm. Last year when I came here, they made the coaching change 15 games in and gave me a contract to prioritize some longevity. I could set some roots, raise my kids in here, and hopefully take a and turn around and implement it for years to come. So the pain and the suffering we went through last year, we traded away our top guys to get some draft picks and to use that to get some better players in that we can grow with. And I thought the management did a good job of building our team back up, especially on the defensive end. And up front, our best players right now are some of our younger guys that are really contributing. So outside of all that, my job is to find a way to get them all to play together. And if we put egos aside and individual statistics aside, and we put the team aspect first and defense comes from offense, everybody has been buying in. So I'm not sure what the trick is. Or why they're really listening to me. I give a lot of credit to the kids, but everybody right now is acting like a family every single day. The practice, the habits, everything we preach. And when you see results, it's the best way to preach, hey, we got to keep doing the things that we're doing once you start seeing results.
Kevin is the hockey guy of this team. So he's going to weigh in here a little bit.
Yeah, we were touching on something that I wanted you to expand on a little bit. Everybody knows major junior hockey is kind of cyclical. You know, you got about every 5 years, and right now it seems the IceDogs are off to a good start. When new ownership came in, you traded away some of the old stock. You've got younger kids now coming up together. Where do you think you are right now on that cycle?
Well, the core, you got to identify where the core of our team is. And then from the core of our team, that's when they're in their prime. That's when you talk about the cyclical stages. That's where you really want to go for it. And Ryan Rubrick, who set franchise records as a rookie at 28 goals, is still yet to turn 17. Ivan Galliano just turned 17 today. Ethan Zada, 5th overall draft pick, just turned 17. Brady Waslin has only played 6 career OHL games, who's already at the top of rookie scoring. The core and the future of this team, the Jack Browdies, the Chanowskis, the young guys are just scratching the surface. And we do have some great older players, Lashko, and even Kevin He is only 18 years old. So when you look at the next 2-3 years with our start right now, it should be really very encouraging, because our best players, the guys that are playing the most minutes, are the young ones driving. So when they become 18 and 19 years old and are physically dominant to go with their skill, and then you put a culture in play and they know how to play and learn from one another, that's when you should really start to expect high-end things. And I mean, the fact that we're ranked 8th in the country with this young group, six games into the season,
that's awesome.
The best franchise start. I mean, there's a lot of positive things, but I think the best is yet to come for this group, to be honest with you.
As for your leadership core, you said it's a young group. Did you have anybody that went away to NHL camps, and how did that affect them when they came back?
We had 5 players that went away to NHL camps, and Jack Browdy went to Boston, and he's one of our leading defensemen in points. He's come back with a lot of confidence. Kevin He went to the Winnipeg Jets camp in the NHL. He's our leading scorer, 2nd in the league overall. Andre Lashko went to Seattle. He's top 6 in the league. He's our 2nd leading scorer. So, I mean, we also had Matthew Virgilio go to Detroit, and I thought he was pretty good. So we had 5 guys. And our top defenseman, Noah Van Vliet, went to the New York Rangers camp as well, too. So every single one of our guys that went to camp came back and have had huge impacts, especially as far as their confidence goes on an individual basis. So it's been really exciting to see so far.
You touch a little bit there on Robrick and the breakout season that he had last year as a very youngster. I mean, first year in the OHL. This year also had a couple of high draft choices. I think you mentioned Brady Waslin. How are the young guys fitting in?
Well, like I said, it's easy to identify where this team is going to be going in the future. And let's just start with Brady Waslin as a 4th overall draft pick for us. Really exciting young player to watch. I mean, he's got 7 points in his first 6 games, over a point a game. Top 4 in rookie scoring already in the season. We played the least amount of games. This kid just got the nomination for the U17 Team Canada, just like Ethan Zada, won 2 golds for them. Just an unbelievable dynamic player. Great kid away from the rink too. This is going to be a name that any Niagara resident should get to know as far as a household name. And I think it's only a matter of time before it becomes a national name that people really start putting him on his radar. next year. So Brady Waslin's unbelievable. And the other guy that we got was the 30th overall pick, Max Crete, who's also a point-of-game player right now, who's got 3 goals so far to start his career with no special teams play either. So, like I said, the dynamic of this team right now, the young guys are driving the bus with some really good support help from some of the older guys. But as far as star players to watch, it's very, very exciting to see the youth in this team have such an impact so early on.
Ben Boudreau, head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, is with us here on the screen on Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. And I have to say, Ben, this is the first time we've met. Hopefully we'll do so in person sometime in the very near future at a game or wherever. Secondly, it's pretty obvious to me that you are completely immersed in your team and your players and the organization and what they do and what they know, because just from listening to you talk about your team and your guys and where things are going, you've got your finger on the pulse of everybody, which is, I think, a mark of a phenomenal head coach, because you obviously care about your people, number one. I mean, that's got to be number one. And for anybody that's ever played sports, players feel that, and they want to play for a guy like that or a person like that. And kudos to you for that. Secondly, we have on this program reached out a few times to try to get, I guess, some sort of symbiotic relationship or kumbaya relationship, if you will, with the dogs. And this is the first time that we've had some response, and we feel that maybe the team is finally starting to integrate itself back into the community. We could use some more bums in seats, I know, at the Meridian Center than we have had the last few games. So we're just hoping that this is really the start of a lot of different factors involved with the IceDogs, not just on the ice, but off the ice and in the community as well. So we're really looking forward to it. I just had to mention that.
Well, I appreciate it, Lee. This is the first thing I'm going to do, and I grew up here, and I'm so proud to one. I've got 2 American children, or that was born in the States, but to be able to bring them back here last August, turn them into Canadians and have them come to the games, and they're the biggest IceDog fans, means the world to me. Just like I'm so proud to be from St. Catharines and all my stops. So the first thing I want to talk about is, Lee, if you want to come to the game at any point in time, you make sure you get a hold of me. I've got tickets waiting for you. At the same time, if you have any listeners that you want to grow, I know Niagara 411 Live is a proud representative of our region too. So if you want to get a lucky listener and tell them to bring somebody to the game, you go through me. I'll donate that on my behalf to make sure I'm giving it back to you. But at the same time, you talked about the symbiotic relationship with me and the community, and that's something I put at the forefront. Like tonight, I'll go to men's league hockey with the same guys that I grew up with at Ridley at 945, and they're now, integrated inside the community, and they're all asking about how the IceDogs are doing, and those relationships, whether it be Joe Fettas or Big Marcos, the same people that have sponsored our hockey school for the last 40 years, are invested now with the IceDogs and in the community as well too. So as far as working with partnerships and giving it back to people, I think the one thing as an organization we're very well aware of, it's been 6 years since we have made the playoffs, and that's something that's at the absolute top of our list, just to be able to go to the fans, the businesses, the people that have continued to support us for so many years. And I know this is only my first full season, but I've never really left. My heart's been here forever. So if I could have some sort of lasting effect and get us back there, I am the one guy that's going to say this. And
I'm sure you will, and I will gladly buy tickets, by the way. Also, though, to go to what you were talking about, Kevin and I were mentioning to our audience a little bit earlier that we're going to initiate some contesting and some thanks for viewing this show, etc., out there for the viewers of Niagara 411 Live, and we'll obviously call on you and your organization to maybe throw a pair of tickets into the hopper every now and then for people that are loyal to this program and loyal to the dogs. So thank you for that offer.
No problem. You call me anytime.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold you to it, Lee. Anytime you get a hold of me, okay?
Now, Lee, one final thing before we let Ben go. Forget that. I got to get in on this Wednesday night skate. The boys tell me that 9:45 skate at Ridley's pretty good. Got some steam in the skates.
Kevin's a player.
I honestly, you want to hear me regale some stories? We're 1-1 in the series right now, best of 7. A lot of the WNL boys, Wednesday Night League boys, are ready to go tonight. So I've been trying to talk to our assistant coach, Stanley Cup champion Dan Paye, trying to cheat on get a few guys out there for a Wednesday.
You talk to Kevin because he won't blow his own horn, but he is one of the best minor and should be major hockey players in Niagara.
Hey, dude, you're talking about guys.
I'm going to hold you to that, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Maybe I'll see you at some Wednesday night.
I can't wait.
Okay, thank you. Ben, a pleasure to have you here. You're a fabulous spokesman for your organization. We hope it's a long-term relationship, and we look forward to this season. Thanks for being here and taking your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Ben Boudreau, head coach, Niagara IceDogs. Looks like we're headed for a great season, Kevin. I like the guy. He's no shortage of sound bites there.
No,
that's
absolutely.
For sure.
You know what? When he was announced as the coach, there'd been a bit of a carousel there behind the bench for the IceDogs with the new ownership. And when they announced that Ben was coming back home, I thought, this is it.
Yeah.
This is going to right the ship because we've got Ben here. Obviously, I think he has professional aspirations beyond major junior, just as his father coached in the NHL for years.
Of course he does.
But given his age and also the age of the family, we might be, 10 years off from that.
Yeah.
And if we could have Ben Boudreau, a proven winner at higher levels than major junior, again, he won in the ECHL. If we have him behind the bench for 10 years, boy, oh boy, that could really solidify the team and the community. So I am looking as a bit of a, I don't want to say a savior, but it's almost what the IceDogs needed with the last couple of seasons. I mean, the last couple with the Burks and the first two with the new ownership, I mean, record-wise, was just abysmal. So this 5-1 start really has me buoyed about the IceDogs.
It's a really, really good catalyst for a great season. I remember when I was working in the radio business in Kingston, there was a great rivalry between Kingston and Belleville. I mean, Kingston was the Canadians, and they were the Frontenacs, and they went back to the Canadians, and there was the Belleville. They were the Bulls for a long time. But there was this massive rivalry between Kingston and Belleville. And when we talk about coaches in the leagues back then, those coaches didn't change every couple of years. They were around for a long time. One of the longest serving coaches I remember was our competitor, because I was obviously a Kingston fan, but Larry Mavety with the Belleville Bulls. I think he spent an entire career as head coach. He was more famous than the team, I think.
But I thought you were going to Brian Kilray in Ottawa.
Well, that's another one.
I mean, another guy who
that's another one. Yeah,
synonymous with the organization.
So if there's any way that a pedigree like that can be groomed with Ben and the team, those things, and of course people have aspirations to move on and do bigger things, and we wish Ben well if he has those aspirations. But while he's here, I think he's going to do a fabulous job. So it's really good to see some energy behind that team once again, and all we have to do now is, as I mentioned, put a few more bums in the seats at the Meridian Center when they play. So we're going to be doing a lot more with the IceDogs over the course of this show, over the course of the season, and this was a good start, having Ben on the program.
And you know what, Lee? In professional sports and minor pro sports, winning cures all. In a 5-1 start, I mean, boy,
winning cures all. Absolutely. A number of things happened and are happening around Niagara. One of the things that we wanted to mention to you is there is going to be training exercise going on with the Niagara Regional Police Force tomorrow. And oftentimes when you see a confluence of police officers, law enforcement, and all sorts of apparatus, et cetera, in a particular area, people get a little bit of a clamp, say, what's going on? Who died? What's explosions? What's happening? Well, if you see this exercise happening tomorrow, don't get all upset. It's in the Portage Road and Upper Rapids Road area in the city of Niagara Falls between 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. Just wanted to mention that. You might hear the sound of what you think is gunfire and all that stuff. So just chill, all right? It's not there's no problem. yet. Anyway, one of the other things I wanted to mention that popped up, I didn't even mention this to you, Kevin. It popped up on Niagara 411. I wanted to mention it was an ad that came up on Nick's site. And again, thank you to Nick and all of you contributors to Niagara 411. It's called tomorrowvoices.ca, and it's I think it's Wednesdays. It might every Wednesday, and it's for parents that have kids that would like to sing, and it's choir practice and singing of songs for children every week here in Niagara, and it's tomorrowvoices.ca is the address anyway.
I'm just trying to find it, Lee, because
that's
it caught our attention. Our daughter loves to sing. She's currently involved with the Linus Hand Productions out of Niagara Falls.
And I apologize, Kevin, because I never mentioned this to you before. I just made a little note to myself, and then I took you by surprise, and that's never good when you're doing live TV. But anyway, check it out if you have a youngster that thinks they would like to try their hand at singing, and especially with a group, it's a lot more fun because you're sharing the spotlight, so it's not you're not necessarily the one under the gun as a solo artist or whatever. You can come in and have some fun and sing with friends and family and that kind of thing. And it's I just thought it was kind of a cool idea.
There you go. Found it there, Lee. So all you have to do is drop by the Grantham Optimist Club Wednesdays, 4 to 5:15, and of course it's on Linwell Road. Yeah. But it's absolutely free, and I think that's really cool. So
it's right around the corner from my house.
Yeah, giving back to the community right there on Linwell Road.
Thanks for finding that, Kevin. And again, I apologize for springing that on you.
Well, it's all good. Just so you know, Lee, one show note. I just checked my messages, and we heard from Evelyn, and unfortunately, she's not going to be able to join us today.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So we're hoping to have Evelyn on about, and let's see if I can get up the video here.
Yeah. While you're doing that, I want to take the opportunity once again to thank our sponsors, Gales Gas Bars Limited, for being here. Jessica Friesen and her gang do a fabulous job. They've been operating in Niagara for almost 60 years now, and with no signs of stopping. 11 service stations, full serve as well as self-serve, 4 convenience stores, wholesale fuel delivery, home heating fuel delivery, and oil lubricant delivery. One-stop call for all of your petroleum needs or Gales Gas Bars. And talk about an organization that does a lot for community. Their support knows no bounds for Niagara, and that really is what makes them a perfect fit for this show, because that's what we're all about. Sandra's Home Healthcare, got to tell you, this is a lady that is dedicated to making sure that people's loved ones are well looked after for whatever needs they have in the home healthcare world. They are actually located in the Niagara Health Services location on 4th Avenue, the major hospital that's over there, so that they are connected every single day to people that need care, from hospital to home and beyond. Their healthcare workers are specifically suited and screened so that they match their patients, and whatever is required, even if it happens to be 24/7 service, those things are available. Medication management and all of those things that go along with it. We're going to be finding out an awful lot more about the healthcare services, the home healthcare in Ontario, as we put together a show and an interview with Sandra and some of the people that run that world here in the province of Ontario, because there have been some regulatory changes that are quite significant that have taken place over the last while, and this is very important because of us having come out of COVID the way we did. There was an awful lot of light focused on home health care and long-term residences and long-term homes, etc. So it's kind of a brave new world for people in this world, and Sanders is right there at the top of the heap. So we're really happy to have them here. Verge Insurance Group, for all of your insurance needs, one of Niagara's original insurance brokers for auto, home, business, life, whatever sort of insurance coverage you need at whatever price point you can afford. They'll make sure that they do that for you since 1953. They're older than me. Verge Insurance Brokers over on Ontario Street here in St. Catharines. Check him out. Ace Alignment, Janice Purdy and her gang, head mechanic Darren Miller, senior mechanic Matt Crompton. These guys know what they're talking about, and it's not a big place physically, but man, do they provide some great service. Obviously, a place called Ace Alignment, you'd think they do wheel alignments, and they do. Brakes and suspension and MCO inspections and front-end repairs and oil changes. Pick something that your automotive needs fall into, and they've got it. Over on North Street, just off Geneva, behind the Niagara Regional Police Service building on Welland, the new one there at Geneva and Welland. So they're tucked back in, but check out Matt and Darren and Ace Alignment. Also, Audrey Wall, my good friend Audrey Wall, known as Audrey the Foot Nurse for many, 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 many years in Niagara, is the new entrepreneurial builder and proprietor of Equal Wellness Services, holistic health care services, not just feet anymore, but by all means, if there's anything in the world of foot care that you need, that's the place to go. They're located at 365 Vine Street in a strip mall between Carlton and Scott Street. Okay, so Audrey, thank you for your continued support. Great work. Another super Niagara born and bred company. Kevin, the story that we were going to be chatting with Evelyn about, it's about that time. So I think you were going to put the video back up there. You showed it a little bit earlier, but there is a situation that's quite disturbing, and I'm sure it's not the only one around, but this is the one that has caught people's attention over the last little while. There's a particular dog, and again, I tend to not blame. There's the video right there. Now, it was Evelyn that's unfortunately not going to be able to join us, that shot this video. Now, this is not an off-leash park for dogs, but it happens to be a park called Barley Street Park in St. Catharines. It's near what they call the dump. It's a St. Catharines municipal golf course, just off Oakdale. Now, obviously, the dog is the front line perpetrator of whatever damage is done here. And Kevin, they've had to replace the swings, 2-3 times? Something like that?
She said 8 times.
8 times?
In her post,
Oh,
yeah.
my God. Okay, I'm underselling it then. But, now, see the guy walking toward the dog? He throws something for the dog. Now, is that the dog owner, Kevin?
That's my assumption, yeah. I mean, look at the comments here from Evelyn.
Like, he's playing with the dog. Like,
if anyone recognizes him, please PM me
with info. This dog has gone mad, and the owner is aggressive also. This dog has caused the kid's swing to be replaced 8 times. Yeah, I missed the 8. God forbid a child be playing there. This is a daily occurrence. And there was no reasoning with him. He stated he'll continue to do so. This is just a short clip of the many that I took. What the hell's wrong with you, man? And again, you can't blame the dog. I'm sorry. Our friend Dave McMahon, who is Niagara's premier dog trainer, will tell you that when dogs and owners come to his facility to train their dogs, he's not really training the dog. He's training the owner of the dog. Because it's us dog owners, we dog owners, that have to be knowledgeable about how to control and discipline our pets. Animals are animals. And unfortunately, sometimes people are animals, which is not the way it's supposed to be. People who are animals. Like this guy's just a nut bar. He shouldn't be allowed to own a dog. Whoever you are, man. Unless he is just a concerned citizen that's trying to deflect the dog, but it looks like he's the owner. Or at least the supervisor, whatever. That's unforgivable. Unforgivable. So obviously, obvious to me anyway, and obvious and to Evelyn and others that go there, is the fact that this dude takes that dog there, and that swing set is a play toy for him every day. He takes the dog to the park, the dog runs around, destroys a swing set, and then goes home. The hell? Kevin, they walk among us, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I don't understand it.
Money just grows on trees.
But what is this man like with his interactions with other humans in real life? That's kind of scary, isn't it? If that's an activity that he indulges in every day with his dog, how does he interact with other humans?
Not too well, from the sounds of Evelyn's interactions.
I let the question hanging. It's a rhetorical question. I don't have the answer, but holy crap.
Let me touch on this one here that Nick shared earlier this week. Join us as we walk for the millions of human trafficking victims across the globe. And there's a Walk for Freedom coming up on October the 19th. So I believe that is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
October 19th, 2 to 4 p.m. at Oaks Garden Theater, Niagara Falls. Take a stand against human trafficking. I'll tell you, Lee, that I'm in a few groups on Facebook that really focus on human trafficking and this issue in Niagara. And there is something afoot. There is something going on in Niagara with respect to human trafficking. And I'm talking beyond a couple seedy motels out in Niagara Falls. I mean, there's people living in our community right now that are attached to human trafficking in that industry, and it disgusts me.
I cannot remember the names, so I won't even attempt. But I do know that there was a male and a female arrested here in Niagara in conjunction with that issue, and it surrounded the trafficking of a particular young woman who shall also remain nameless. And one of the things that in this world we have to keep in mind is the fact that when we're talking about human trafficking, this does not have to be an environment where you're dealing with multiple people, like 3 or 4 or 5, or a stable of women or men that are being abused and trafficked, etc. All it has to be is like one individual that is being taken advantage of by another individual or individuals for nefarious purposes, and maybe in that case it's even more difficult because it's difficult for one person to separate themselves and get away or remove themselves from that situation. But to go to your point, Kevin, I agree with you. I believe that I do feel that there's something more bubbling under the surface, some dirty little secret or a dirty big secret that, and I'm sure law enforcement is aware of it, but we're not kept in those loops, obviously, and for obvious reasons, and rightfully so, because the investigations are difficult when it comes to this world, because a lot of people that are being taken advantage of and being abused will not speak to it, and they won't come out, and they suffer in silence, which is also part of the problem. And that seems to be where the largest message should be. Talk to someone, speak out, let it be known that you're in trouble or being abused or used incorrectly or something. There's just I agree, Kevin, there's more there than meets the eye. And kudos to the people for organizing this event. Join us as we walk for millions of human trafficking victims across the globe. Abolish slavery with each step. Oaks Garden Theater, River Road, Niagara Falls. Okay. And the walk is when again?
Saturday from 2 to 4.
Saturday from 2 to 4.
So get on down there, show your support. Lee, not sure where you wanted to go. I got something lined up here that was shared by Niagara 411.
Yeah, well, let's do it. I'm if anything,
okay, well, this
flexible.
one's you know, it has to do with the Boston Pizza on Ontario Street. I know a lot of us were talking about this. I don't know if your circle of people were talking about this. It gained a lot of attention on Niagara 411 as they've had their liquor license suspended for 60 days.
And this is... okay, well, let's read the story, and then we'll do a little bit of background on it. Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario issued a notice proposal for a 60-day liquor sales suspension of Boston Pizza, Ontario Street, St. Kitts, Ontario. Following a review, they have reason to believe the license holder is responsible for several violations of the Liquor License and Control Act, contributing to a fatal vehicle crash. Scroll, there we go. Here's how it goes. December 17th into the early hours of the 18th, concluded that licensee permitted a number of patrons to become intoxicated and continued to serve alcohol even after demonstrating signs of intoxication. The patrons left the premises by car and were subsequently involved in a single motor vehicle crash, which resulted in the tragic death of one passenger and injury to another. Okay, one of the things that I'm very well aware of, because I have my, as they call, serving it right certificate, because when I was working in wineries here in Niagara doing wine tastings, etc., you have to have that card, you have to have that accreditation. And one of the things that people do not understand, and a lot of servers in restaurants and or bars do not understand this, although the restaurant owners do, I'd like to think all of the servers do, that if you are serving alcohol in any premises, it is your responsibility to cease serving people once you recognize the signs of inebriation. And if you do not cease, as in this situation, and someone leaves your premises and the result of their intoxication is someone dies or is hurt in an accident, then you are liable. And not just the establishment, though, Kevin. This goes to the server. The server can be sued and held liable individually because it is up to the server's right and responsibility and observations to halt service to anyone who is inebriated. And it goes beyond that. If someone walks into your establishment, and this happens in a lot of cases in wineries where people have been on wine tours or whatever, and they come in and they may have been to 4 or 5 wineries over the course of the day, which is perfectly fine. I mean, that's cool as long as somebody else is driving the boat, you know. But here's where I was going with it. If you are the server in any establishment and someone walks into your establishment and is obviously inebriated, and there are signs, when you take the serving it right course to get your accreditation to serve alcohol in Ontario, you have passed a course, which means that you know the signs of someone who is coming into your establishment of being inebriated. And you're not even allowed to give them one drink. It's not the fact that you're not allowed to keep serving them, as the fact that if they are already intoxicated when they come into your establishment, you're not supposed to serve them even one drink. Because if you do, you're continuing to impede their ability to make good decisions and to do the right things. So it's not just while they're sitting there with you and you're not supposed to keep serving them. You're not supposed to serve them at all if there are obvious signs of intoxication. And there are many ways that someone has signs of intoxication, by the way. They don't have to just be weaving and falling down. I mean, there are certain ways. Why do you think when you go into an LCBO that every time you walk up to a counter and the clerk says, "How are you doing today?" They don't really care how you're doing today. They want to hear your response. They want to hear how you talk to them. And they want to look into your eyes, because oftentimes if you're wearing sunglasses, they're supposed to, LCBO employees are supposed to, ask you to remove your sunglasses so they can look at your eyes. There are things that are supposed to be done in establishments that serve and sell alcohol. And if those are not done, then what just happened to Boston Pizza on Ontario Street is a very real consequence, including coming right down to the server. And that could be devastating. So I'm not sure whether a lot of owners make that clear to their people serving booze or not, but it's really, really important. And there's a very popular brand name that has suffered the slings and arrows of ignoring, or at least not paying attention.
Yeah,
maybe
that
that's
can
the
be,
same thing.
That can be debilitating to a franchise, to a restaurant, to a bar,
to an owner,
days.
to the
I'm just talking about
server.
the 60-day fine. Do you think, Lee, that the law's a little far-reaching? Because I do.
In what way?
I understand that there's responsibilities as bar owners, there's responsibilities as servers, but it's so difficult to know where somebody has been before they walk into your establishment and where they go once they walk out.
It doesn't.
And visual signs of impairment aren't always there.
But that's the thing. There is always some sort of sign. And the point is, you are supposed to know. You are supposed to pay attention. And a lot of people in a lot of establishments don't want to have any confrontations. They don't want to have any sort of conflict with their customers, and they don't want to. They want to have return customers, etc. But you got to have the guts to say, no, I'm not serving you anymore. You know, I took over. I took over a serving at a winery here in Niagara on the Lake because this great big fellow, he could have been a linebacker for the Rams. I mean, this is a big dude I'm talking about, and he was obnoxious, and he was annoying. And I just happened to be the biggest guy into the place, so I took over the tasting, and I said, "You're done, man. You're done." Well, I thought he was going to throw me through the window, but that would have been okay. I said, "I can't," because I said, "You know what? If you go out and drive that nice Mercedes you're driving, and you drive into somebody over on concession 6 and get into an accident, I'm to blame." It's just the way it is.
I know. No, I know. I was more just bringing it up for the other side, because I know some people kind of say, like, wow, I don't know, are they really responsible? I mean, I've heard and seen cases, Lee, where, somebody gets into an accident at 5 a.m. and sues the establishment where they left at 2 a.m.
That's the law.
I know, it's just so weird. You could leave sober at 2 a.m. and get completely smashed by 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it's...
Yeah.
Anyway...
if you're part of the problem, you're not part of the solution.
No, I agree. Just kind of playing point counterpoint there.
And it may be that in a lot of cases, if there are charges laid, etc., that's a defense of people because of, as you say, you could do anything between 2 and 5. I don't know what you're doing, and in that case, the courts would probably
agree.
Give them a pass. They'd agree with that.
Right, and the difference is in this case, Boston Pizza was found guilty, so they did their due diligence. It ran its course and found out that no, you should have done better.
Yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah, you should have done better. Lee, I know you're going to run through and thank all of the guests that we had on today. Ahead of that, I want to let you know...
You know this, do you?
That
I know
this is, but yeah, this is pretty much the pattern. Thanks to David Rotella for coming on to talk to us about that tribute night. It's a songwriters night for
Rick Rose,
in honor of Rick Rose. So fittingly, we're going to end the program today with a music video from Rick Rose. This is "We Were Wild" coming up in a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's great.
And that goes back more than a decade in Rick's many-decade career here producing and making music in Niagara.
And you are correct, Kevin. I was just holding your feet to the fire there for fun. David Rotella, organizer of Dreaming Out Loud, a songwriter's tribute to Rick Rose, a great Niagaran, an established and creative and talented musician. And we lost him back in the summertime. Definitely will be missed. Ben Boudreau, head coach of the Niagara IceDogs. It was a real pleasure to meet Ben today. A refreshing young man, a great spokesperson for the organization and for the team, and you can just tell that he has the passion for his players, the passion for his position, and a passion for hockey in Niagara, which is just, it's so refreshing to see, and we're glad that we were able to make that connection. So we're going to be doing more with them as the season goes on and as this show progresses. Evelyn, too bad you weren't able to join us, but we appreciate you raising that issue of the dog in the park at Bartley Park. And I don't know, hopefully it'll get resolved. Maybe with shining this kind of light on it, it'll get there. Also, I want to thank once again Gales Gas Bars, our premier sponsor. Also, Sandra's Home Healthcare, Verge Insurance Group, Ace Alignment, Audrey the Foot Nurse with Equal Wellness Services. Thanks for being here. Nick at Niagara 411, Nick's mom, thank you. Kevin Jack, we have a couple of minutes. So let me wrap up here with getting an update on WeeStream in just a second. But first of all, because of Kevin and WeeStream cover, and his partner Brandon Scram, cover one of their mandates is covering Niagara Falls City Council every week or whenever they meet. And we did a piece last show on. I'm going to have to stop calling it the Twin Towers, but it's kind of what it is. It's the Twin Tower development, which is going to be on top of 7 stories of parking, etc., and 58 stories on top of that. So we're talking like 64 stories of 2 tower type development, where the current Oaks Inn is in Niagara Falls. That one piece that we did, Kevin brought us the artist renderings of what this establishment is going to look like, that was okayed a couple of weeks ago at council. We had that 2.5 minute piece, Kevin, garnered something like 55,000 views.
Yeah, all told, Lee, last week's episode generated more than 125,000 views, and a majority of those, I'd say 99% of them, are right here in Niagara. So if you own a business, if you're looking to reach people in Niagara, I'll tell you, your dollar doesn't go any further than it does right here with Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. One episode, 125,000 people reached across Niagara, and 50,000 alone just on that one topic.
And a lot of the kudos for that go to Kevin and his production values, etc. This is the highest quality television program you're going to find anywhere. I don't care whether it's CNN, NBC, CBS, I don't care. Fox News, whatever, depending on your predilections. This is as high quality technically as it gets, and kudos to Kevin for doing that. What's going on with WeeStream, by the way?
Not a whole lot, just kind of, I don't want to say status quo, but we have been reaching out to a lot of communities and ahead of the Christmas season and seeing if they want to have their Santa Claus parades live streams. Surprisingly, we still get a lot more no's than we do yes, and we're trying to get to the root of that, understand why communities would not want to make their public events available to every single member of their community, both when it's occurring and afterwards as well. But that's a fight that we continue to fight in Niagara. But if you're listening to this right now and going, you're right, why isn't it like that? Well, contact your city councilor and say, hey, I'm somebody that for whatever reason can't make it out on that day, but I would still like to enjoy the Santa Claus parade.
Yeah, imagine if, let's pick one. Imagine if Jimmy Fallon and The Tonight Show only did their show for the people in the studio audience. Would he be making $40 million a year? Probably not. But it's televised on a wide spectrum for people that will never, ever sit in the audience live. Well, the same thing kind of goes for a Santa Claus parade. You might get 3, 4, I don't know, 1,000 people at the most lining a parade route. But when you can reach 70 or 80,000, why wouldn't you do that?
No,
Just a rhetorical question. You can talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, and Lee, I'll just throw you up one thing here.
Yeah.
This is, and the town of Grimsby, they've been working with us for many years.
Oh, the Grimsby thing looks great.
Live stream their Santa Claus parade. And so the quality here right now isn't the best. Might just be choked out, but I can scrub through this. I mean, there you go. This has more than 26,000 views, and then there's another 30 or so on YouTube.
Speaking of which,
I mean, look at that. Why would you not want this to be the legacy of your parade?
Your community.
And the town of Grimsby owns this. And why wouldn't you want this as a legacy piece? To say,
if I'm a town or city councilor, I'm saying, hey, I want to showcase my community to as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, so that's part of the learning curve with live streaming, and it's something that that WeeStream is kind of figuring out ways to wedge our way in and approach diplomatically. But if you're watching this and thinking, you know what, I think they're right, contact your city councilor, your representative, your ward councilor, whatever it is, and say, hey, I was watching Niagara 411 live. And of course, with our collaboration with Nick at Niagara 411, he's all too eager to broadcast events like this also on Niagara 411 and draw on that audience as well. It's just community service stuff.
I'm thrilled to be the talking head for this program. It's something after almost, well, I guess it is by now, 50 years in the media business, to be able to take a traditional media history into a new media forum and format. I'm just thrilled to be part of this and having a good time, because although it might not look like it, it keeps me young. Kevin, as always, thank you very much. And again, Fiddler's Poorhouse, thanks for being here. That's our cityscape outside. And Rick Rose, what is the name of the song we're going to have playing us out?
We Were Wild.
We Were Wild. And again, condolences to Rick Rose's family and friends. And thank you to Dave Rotella for being here and talking to us about Rick and making his life come alive once again for us. Y'all have a good weekend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you in a couple of weeks with episode 23 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Thanks, Kev.
Lee, happy birthday to my wife, Leanne.
Happy birthday, Leanne. Enjoy.
Down on the dark side of town, where all the girls were gonna work in the morning, where the factories got shut down. There's this old man sitting by the side of the road, reading the Bible and drinking his wine. He said, son, you wanna know the absolute truth? If you wanna be a hero, you gotta fight. Oh, yeah. You know, the guys in the neighborhood, we'd always take off to the big lot. And I'd bring my 6-string, play it all night, play it one night, got caught. And the girls from the south side, guys from the west side, gathered there for my mood. The late one night, out at the driving show, I said, gang, this is for me and you. The summer we felt alive. We were wild and we were innocent. The gang of 75. Oh yeah, we were wild. People always tell me, hey there kid, you gotta do something with your life. You gotta be somebody, go somewhere, prove it to them all night. You sit around sometime and talk about the past, wonder what tomorrow's gonna bring. You stare at the moon in our faded blue jeans in the summer, talking about our dreams.